Today has been absolutely insane. This was definitely the right choice to come down to Milwaukee. I just couldn't be happier with what we found here. It's been unbelievable. To many birders, one of the best parts of spring is warbler migration. These active little birds come in an incredible variety of colors and move through in waves with large quantities sometimes showing up all at once. With many different species to find, warblers certainly are an entertaining part of the season, and one that on the right day can prove to be a centerpiece of an amazing birding experience. Today, I'm in Milwaukee with two of my friends, Jim and Spence from the Ben Goss Bird Club, to catch some of the first big warbler waves of the year. We made the half-hour trip to the Cream City with dark skies on the horizon. Hoping the weather wouldn't end up being too bad, we arrived at Warnemont Park, an area that overlooks Lake Michigan and contains bluffs, ravines, and woods. In addition to beautiful landscapes, the fact that reports from the previous day showed excellent numbers of warblers made it a premier destination on this day. I'm down at the Lake Michigan coastline in one of the hot spots for warblers right now with some of the guys from the Ben Goss Bird Club, and then also a big group that developed of other people looking. So it is pretty birdy out, and we're going to see which warblers and other migrants we can find. Sitting under a migratory flyway, Milwaukee, Wisconsin proves to be a phenomenal location to find warblers and other spring migrants. With Lake Michigan to the east, birds that cross the water on their way north often fly down to the first land they see, eager to feed on insects. From the cliffs overlooking the lake, we spotted horned grebes out on the water and immediately noticed two of the most common warblers in the state, the yellow-rumped warbler and the palm warbler. As more and more birders began arriving, we had a lot of eyes working together to find birds. A large group of us walked south along the edge of the bluff. In the ravines, we found many different sparrow species, including chipping sparrows, clay-colored sparrows, and Lincoln sparrows. In addition to the many brown and gray colored sparrows, was one of the brightest migratory birds that comes into the state, the Scarlet Tanager. The Scarlet Tanager certainly stands out with its impressively bright red color that contrasts with its dark black wings and tail. They can be found in the eastern half of the United States in spring and summer, and western South America in winter. Scarlet tanagers typically reside in deciduous forests and prefer to spend most of their time high up in the canopy, making them difficult to spot. However, they can also be found in more open spaces such as parks and backyards where they are welcome visitors. This species feeds on insects, but is also known to feed on buds and a variety of different fruits. After taking some time to admire the tanager, we moved on to a spot with a lot of shrubs and brush. Here we had a nice group of warblers, including a black and white warbler, several yellow warblers, and a somewhat early Tennessee warbler. Picking through the leaf litter near the warblers was an eastern towhee and a couple of swamp sparrows. We moved back north toward the parking lot and into one of the most fruitful areas for warblers. Here we located a somewhat rare species for the state, the hooded warbler. The hooded warbler can be differentiated from other warbler species by its black chin and connecting black hood, giving the species its name. The chest and underside are yellow, with a mixture of yellow and gray on the back, wings, and tail. This species can be found in the southeastern United States regularly, but doesn't typically make it up too far into the northeast and the Midwest. However, there are some places in these areas where hooded warblers do breed on an annual basis. To find this species, look for deciduous forests with a lot of underbrush, as hooded warblers prefer foraging lower to the ground than many other species. You got the hooded?
It was a pleasure to see a beautiful bird. Nice way to bring the sun out a little bit at this time.
Are you happy the snow stopped?
It's good for my complexion.
After seeing the hooded warbler, we got word of an even more uncommon warbler species that had just been seen. found a lot of good birds so far, the best being the hooded warbler, but then also a really good look at a Scarlet Tanager, which isn't necessarily rare, but it's always a treat to see because it's so beautiful. Definitely got a high species count right now, but we're trying to find a Kentucky warbler that was seen yesterday, and we just got a tip that it's still here. So let's see if we can make it happen. We arrived at the spot where the Kentucky warbler had been hanging out. We got amazing looks at orange-crowned warblers, a brief view of a summer tanager, and saw an extremely cooperative black-throated green warbler, but the Kentucky warbler was nowhere to be found. Went to the spot that Kentucky's been seen and haven't found it yet. Hopefully it's still around. It just seems really skulky and like timing is everything. That would be a great way to cap off this morning though of warbler action. It's been really good, but just one more big bird would really make it.
We've had a pretty good morning. One of the highlights was seeing a summer tanager all of a sudden just pop up. So with the summer tanager, the Scarlet Tanager, and the Orchard Oriole, that's a pretty nice hit list just for a few of those. The hooded warbler and the black-throated green, that was a very nice pickup. Chestnut. So it would be nice to see if Mr. Kentucky would play a song for us, but we'll go take a break now for a little bit and come back and see if we can do it again.
Kentucky warbler was the big bummer so far, but it's hard to be too upset because we had a lot of really good birds and got knockout looks at black-throated green warblers and a few other species, so hard to be too upset, yet I still am. We took a short break to see a loggerhead shrike that was originally found by our friend Nathaniel, but then returned to Warnemont Park to try and take care of our unfinished business with the Kentucky warbler. When we got back to the park, we ran into our friends Chris and Colette, who had just seen the Kentucky warbler in one of the ravines, and took us to the exact spot. After a few minutes of waiting, it popped out into the open. While Kentucky warblers are an annual visitor to the state, they are rare in most parts of it, so seeing one is always a treat. They look similar in base color to the hooded warbler, with their yellow underside and olive brown colored back, but their facial markings are unique, with grayish black on the top of the head and darker black just under the eye. Kentucky warblers can be found in the southeastern United States and like to spend most of their time low to the ground foraging in dense vegetation. In addition to the Kentucky warbler, a red-eyed vireo is in this area, as well as one of the most beautiful birds that comes through during migration, the Blackburnian warbler. This warbler species always generates excitement when it's seen due to its orangey-yellow coloration, and even though they aren't rare, they always feel special to see. Just got the Kentucky warbler. I was starting to think it wasn't going to make an appearance, and when we came back, we met some of our friends who had just seen it, and they took us right to where it was, got some great looks at it, and then to make it even better, a Blackburnian warbler, which in my opinion is one of the most beautiful warblers, popped up as well, in addition to a red-eyed vireo. So today has been spectacular for warblers. It's been like the first day that warblers have actually been here in numbers that I've been able to go out and see them, so it has been fantastic. Having been at the park for a number of hours, we had finally seen just about everything that had been reported during the day. However, I still wanted to get better looks at a summer tanager that we had seen very briefly earlier in the morning. I walked back and forth across the cliff edges and eventually found the spot where people were seeing it. In this area, the thick brush made for obstructed viewing, and after 15 minutes of the bird popping up for only seconds at a time, I decided to call it a day. However, on the way out, it happened to appear right in front of me, perched on the edge of the ravine. This particular summer tanager was an immature male, which is why it has patches of both yellow and red, making for a very fiery and beautiful pattern. When this bird is completely mature, it will be much more solid red. While I was watching, I observed an interesting behavior as the bird was eating small insects caught in webs. It ate the entire web along with the insects, a fascinating thing to witness. Just got good looks at the summer tanager, way better than I ever thought I was going to get, and then right next to it a hooded warbler pops up too. So today has been absolutely insane. This was definitely the right choice to come down to Milwaukee. I just couldn't be happier with what we found here. It's been unbelievable. Finally, after many hours of searching, we decided to call it a day, feeling grateful not only for the birds that were present, but also the many people that helped find them. It was truly an amazing day of birding, and everyone there was part of it. Whether it was the initial spotting of the birds or getting the information out about where to see them, the cooperation by everyone at the park was instrumental in this exceptional day. How you feeling, Jim?
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm just, grateful for for as many eyes as was there.
Probably the best birding day of spring so far. There were so many people out there. We picked the absolute right place to be on this particular day, so hopefully it's going to keep going up from here. With a lot of spring left to go, hopefully there will be more days like this on the horizon. But until then, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding.